It's late, the good kind of quiet, when the refrigerator's sum sounds like distant surf and your phone glows a pale blue on the bedside table. You're scrolling for one clean answer. One expert says eat this, another says avoid it forever. A headline whispers certainty, a comment screams fraud. The coffee on your desk has turned cold and thin, smelling faintly of almonds. Somewhere outside, a motorcycle coughs to life, then fades. You rub your eyes, not because they're tired, but because uncertainty feels like grit beneath the lid. All you want is someone to say, "Here's the truth, full stop." But every swipe is a new angle, a new authority, a new promise that collapses under the weight of the next one. If you felt this ache for clarity in health, in news, in what to teach your kids, you're not alone, and you're not broken. What if the feeling isn't a sign that the world is falling apart, but an invitation to see it more honestly? What if the peace you're looking for doesn't come from being right, but from learning how to live wisely with what you don't know? That's the doorway Timothy Caulfield opens in The Certainty Illusion. A longtime investigator of how science meets everyday life, he looks at the mess we're all standing in, the conflicting claims, the confident hot takes, the algorithms that reward outrage, and asks why smart, caring people still get pulled into bad information. He doesn't offer easy villains. Instead, he lifts the curtain on three powerful forces that shape belief: the authority of science, our desire to be good, and the sway of opinion and story. Each can guide us toward truth, but each can also be twisted, pick-cherried, and sold back to us as airtight answers. This book is not a scold. It's a companion for readers who want to keep their hearts soft and their minds sharp. Caulfield lays out how misinformation spreads, why certainty is so attractive in a chaotic world, and what habits actually help us tell signal from noise without becoming cynical or cruel. The simple promise is this: certainty is a feeling, not a fact. In a world where information is cheap and attention is expensive, that feeling gets manufactured and sold. Caulfield shows how our reverence for science can be misused, how our hunger to do the right thing can be exploited, and how persuasive stories can drown out careful reasoning. To see through it, we don't need superhuman skepticism. We need a way of moving through the world that prizes curiosity over absolutism, evidence over vibes, and conversation over performative conviction. Let's start in a kitchen washed with early light. A kettle whispers, and the warm smell of toast drifts across the room. A parent leans on the counter, phone in one hand. Yesterday's article warned that a certain oil ruins your heart. Today's thread claims avoiding it is propaganda. On the table, a child draws a rocket and asks for the cereal with stars. The parent wants to be good, to nourish, to choose right. That desire is beautiful and vulnerable. When righteousness becomes a shortcut, we grab the sharpest rule and call it wisdom. Caulfield invites us to notice that moment, because goodness, untethered from evidence, can be drafted into service for almost any claim. If a post tells you you're a better person for believing it, ask for receipts. Ask for context, for study design, for what the best critics say. Then do something radical in the internet age. Wait. Goodness without humility can harden into dogma. Dinner turns into a tribunal. Rules multiply until our world gets small. Caulfield asks us to notice this urge and name it, not as shame, but as a human impulse that needs guidance. If a claim flatters your virtue while making disagreement sound immoral, pause. Ask whether the moral language is doing the heavy lifting the evidence should be doing. That small pause is a hinge. It lets the door swing from certainty to curiosity. Now step into an office break room. Fluorescent lights hum. Someone tilts their phone toward you and plays a video stitched from dramatic music and screenshots. Scattered facts click together like magnets. Last week's headline, an old photo from elsewhere, a single outlier study. Believing this feels like joining a secret club, the seduction of opinion as proof. It's powerful because it gives identity, not just information. Caulfield's advice is simple and brave. Ask what would change your mind. If the answer is nothing, you're not investigating, you're pledging allegiance. Saying I could be wrong isn't self-betrayal. It's the beginning of being right. It leaves room to say, I don't know yet. When opinion becomes identity, everything turns into a loyalty test. We search for confirmation, not clarity. The body tells on us, heat in the neck, jaw tight, leg bouncing. Those are signals to slow down. Another question helps. What's the base rate here? How often does this really happen? Framing a claim against the boring background of reality is like turning the lights on in a haunted house. The shadows shrink. Then there's the laboratory of everyday life, claims in the language of science. Numbers, graphs, citations, the bright authority of a white coat. The point isn't to distrust science. It's to love it for what it is, a method, not a costume. Real science is provisional, allergic to the word never, alive to replication and error bars. Notice when a post borrows scientific words while skipping uncertainty, limitations, and counter-studies. That's not science speaking. That's marketing in a lab mask. Imagine two headlines. One says, new study proves X causes Y. The other says, small study suggests a link, more research needed. The first one is seductive. The second is honest. Which one spreads faster? We know. Platforms reward the neat plot twist, the crisp villain, the heroic hack. Certainty is shareable, nuance is work. To be a good citizen of your own mind, you can train your appetite for the second headline. Start admiring the humility of a careful claim more than the swagger of a definitive one. There's a phrase here that's both sobering and freeing, the goodness illusion, the way bad ideas hitch a ride on moral aspiration. We donate to the wrong cause, retweet the wrong claim, or pressure a friend into a dubious regimen because it feels righteous. The fix isn't to abandon goodness. It's to pair it with evidence. Who benefits if I believe this? Does this urge action first and checking later? Is there a simpler, kinder explanation? Those questions turn moral heat into light. History keeps us humble. Not long ago, tonics laced with opiates were sold as cures. Eugenic theories wore the language of progress. Cigarette ads borrowed physician authority. Looking backward, we wonder how people could be so sure. Looking forward, honesty says we're just as vulnerable. Except our rumors now travel at light speed. What protects us isn't a higher IQ, it's better habits, practiced until they feel natural, like checking mirrors before you change lanes. Rituals help. When a big claim lands in the group chat, put the phone down and make tea. Buy yourself 5 minutes. When an aunt posts a shaky study, reply in private with respect and curiosity. When you feel the rush to share, count to 7 and ask, what's the best evidence against my position? When a headline confirms everything you already think, read past the title, glance at methods, and look for the phrase, more research needed. If it's not there, be cautious. If it is, admire it. Another helpful shift is trading predictions for probabilities. Instead of, this is true, try, given what I know, this seems likely. The language gets softer, the thinking gets stronger. Probabilities leave room for new data and unlock better conversations. Two people exchanging likelihoods can learn. Two people trading absolutes can only clash. In daily life, that sounds like, I'm roughly 70% confident this diet improves sleep. Here's why. Or, I'm only 30% sure this story is accurate. I'm waiting for more reporting. It's not hedging, it's intellectual seat belting. And when you must decide treatment, policy, how to spend your time, remember that evidence has layers. A single small study is a snapshot. A body of replicated work is a film. Plan your life on the film. Ask what the weight of evidence says. If the answer is, We don't know yet. Plan for flexibility. Choose reversible steps. Keep receipts. In relationships, make curiosity default. Replace gotcha with how did you arrive there? You'll be surprised how often the answer includes a half-remembered article and a friend of a friend claim. That's a chance to learn together, not to score a point. I want to return to that kitchen. The toast has cooled. The drawing now has a ring of moons around the green crayon planet. The parent breathes and does something small and sane. Cooks a simple breakfast, bookmarks a reputable summary for later, asks a pediatrician next week. No grand declarations, just calm choices grounded in the best information available today, with room to revise tomorrow. That isn't indecision, it's wisdom, and it's exactly the posture this book invites us to practice. Step back and the shape is clear. Certainty is an emotion our era mass produces. It's quick, loud, confident, and easy to share. Truth, by contrast, is slower and a little awkward, full of maybes, margins, and methods. The certainty illusion doesn't tell you to stop caring or to sit on the fence forever. It asks you to care better, to move with a steadier gait. It reminds you that science is a process, that goodness requires humility, and that opinion is not evidence just because it arrives wrapped in a compelling story. What does this mean for you tomorrow morning? Diversify what you read on purpose. Ask, what would change your mind? Favor careful claims over dramatic ones. Pair moral passion with data. Leave room for error bars in your beliefs. And talk about your updates out loud so people around you see that learning in public is not weakness, but generosity. If certainty is the costume, seek the method underneath. If a claim sparkles, check the wiring. And if you feel the old ache, the need for one final answer, remember that curiosity isn't the opposite of conviction. It's how conviction earns its keep. If this conversation helped you breathe a bit easier, stay with me. Subscribe and let's build a community that values clarity over clout and kindness over clapbacks. Share this with a friend who always wants to do the right thing but feels overwhelmed by the noise. Tell me in the comments one belief you've recently updated and what evidence moved you. Next week, we'll keep practicing together. More real tools for thinking clearly in a world that rewards certainty. Until then, take a slow breath, read past the headline, and give yourself permission to say 3 honest words. I don't know yet.